A long-treasured job protection for teachers may be at risk. A Los Angeles judge agreed yesterday that California's laws make it tough to fire lousy teachers. The judge ruled that tenure laws are unconstitutional because incompetent teachers tend to be placed at schools filled with poor and minority students and therefore violate their right to an equal education. Joining me to talk about the ruling are Michael Stone, who sits on the board of the California Teachers Association, and Lisa Berlanga, Executive Director of Up for Ed, an organization that advocates for quality education in the San Diego Unified School District. Lisa, what's your reaction to the judge's ruling?
We were very excited yesterday. We have parents who have been following the case very closely, and we were thrilled at the judge's ruling that is supportive of children and supportive of getting the best teacher that we can possibly get in front of kids.
Michael, why is tenure good for teachers?
Well, due process, if we don't have tenure, that's a misnomer. Due process just simply means that a process is followed if you want to remove a teacher. And we believe that we need to have a full hearing of the facts and that a teacher has, so they're not arbitrarily dismissed for something they teach or for a course they teach or for something they say or raising their hand in a staff meeting.
But that due process, as you call it, was never expected to be permanent employment.
Well, first off, we don't have tenure, which means we don't have permanency. What the tenure is at the college level, where they have literally a job for life, but it's not that way in the K-12 setting. There is a chance for an administrator to remove a teacher. They have to lay a case out, and that happens.
Lisa, many would argue that the majority of California's public school teachers are skilled and highly competent, and that it is unfair to blame low student performance on teachers when they are facing a whole host of problems: large class sizes, reduced public school financing, transient students, schools who are not, students who are not fluent in English, and a host of other social problems. Is teacher tenure really the biggest problem facing public schools?
It's a piece of the puzzle, and it needs to be solved before we can make sure that every teacher is really a highly qualified teacher. So I agree with you. Most teachers are really great teachers, and they're not recognized. Part of our system isn't just getting rid of teachers who aren't any good. It's also about recognizing really high quality teachers, and the system right now doesn't do that. Teachers get pay raises based on how long they've been there. Teachers get fired or hired based on their seniority. Everything revolves around seniority rather than revolving around how am I doing in my job and are students learning. I agree, teaching is a very difficult task today. There's lots of diversity that teachers have to deal with, but the best way to do that is for a principal to create a team of teachers that stay and work together and work on those issues together. And Michael, that's been hard in the past.
What about what she is saying? I mean, we hear stories about how it takes such a long time and it's such a complicated process to get rid of an incompetent teacher. And there's this anecdote that was cited by the plaintiffs in this case of the Pasadena teacher who was named Teacher of the Year but was grossly incompetent. Do you concede that there are problems with the way teachers are hired, promoted, and fired?
First off, this case has nothing to do about civil rights. It was the wrong decision, the wrong solution, and the wrong process. This has everything to do with a multi-million-dollar millionaire at Silicon Valley pushing their agenda of blame the teacher, and they want to charterize and privatize our schools. And this has nothing to do. There's a bill right now in front of the Assembly, AB 215, that talks about streamlining the process for dismissal. And that's before. We would love for Up for Ed to be part of that. It's going through the Assembly right now, so we would love to have people supporting that. And that's an issue. That's another. But to go through the court system is wrong. This has nothing to do about civil rights. And again, that Pasadena teacher was recognized for Teacher of the Year for the district. So I don't think they made their case about grossly incompetent.
Lisa, very quickly, unions have already filed an appeal. How exhaustive of a court fight do you expect over this issue?
Oh, we expect it to be huge because it's changing processes that have been in place for years. And so we imagine there'll be a big fight. Unfortunately, we wish there weren't. We wish that everyone could look at the decision and say, okay, it's time for a change. Let's do things differently and let's look at things differently in California. But we doubt that will happen.
And in about 10 seconds, what if the ruling stands? What happens?
Well, I mean, what we worry about is people will be arbitrarily dismissed for raising an issue about standing up for students, raising their hand in a staff room, having an issue. I find it interesting that none of these groups stood with us on Prop 30 when we wanted more funding for education. None of these groups, these were silent. It was us leading the charge.
And we've got to close it there. Michael, Lisa, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.